site. It's R15 zone. Well, this design is not so far removed from what the R15 zone permits. It permits any sorts of public properties, institutional properties. It has allowed any number of diverse types of housing. So when you look at what is being proposed here, you're looking at a type of housing that is unique, that is suitable for this currently commercial mixed-use property. There's no saying as to what would happen if this application is not approved. You still have that commercial use. You still have the ability to have a pediatrician's office. You still have that ability to introduce that as well. And that is a factor that has to be considered. That when you're looking at something that is as attractive as this design, as well thought out as this design is, as suitable for this topography is, and you have what's there now, you know it's an improvement. You know that it advances the general welfare, that this achieves that which is sought after in land use. You want to advance the purposes of zoning, you want to have the reinvestment, and you want to have something that at the end of the day, people go, well, it was a wonderful decision. I submit the application to the approval board.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. Andy, there were a number of conditions, including something about sawmills and black walnuts or something, but do you want us to do that real quick?
That was definitely a new one. Yes, I have 7 potential conditions total. I'll just note the first 5 were from our prior hearing established back in March. First is our usual compliance with the conditions noted in the board engineer's memorandum. I did have a note that with the exception of number 11 at that point, but that was back in March. Has that since been revised? The point number 11 discrepancy there? Or are we still operating off the same memorandum?
Number 11 is regarding regarding the driveway slopes.
Yes.
Yes. So the driveway slope per the new revised plans was reduced to 12.5%. 10% is the maximum driveway slope required per the ordinance. So variance still should be required.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I can remove that exception portion in there. So the second condition then, no bedrooms shall be located in the basement. Third is that the condo association bylaws will include a requirement for snow removal. Fourth is that the condo association bylaws are to limit 2 cars per unit. And fifth, the association bylaws will include a limitation that you cannot park a car except for in the garage. And then the 2 potential conditions from this evening. 6th is that the applicant shall revise the plans to reflect the drainage line on the west of the property being connected to the dry well system. And 7th was offered. I don't know if we want to impose it necessarily as a condition, but as noted, that black walnut tree being removed from the property will be sent to Castor Sawmill in Sussex County.
I don't know if that needs to be a condition, but if I don't see reference in the resolution, Andy, then I'm disappointed.
So I'm not getting a whole bunch of...
It'd be hard to enforce that if they decide to
send it anywhere else.
Just a little bit of flavor in the resolution.
Yes, so I think hearing no objection, I will remove that potential 7th condition. We're left with 6.
Anything you'd like to refine or make note of, Mr. Weber, those 6 before we begin our deliberations?
No further.
Okay, excellent, good memory. All right, Diana, would you start us this evening with your deliberations?
I had some problems with this application the first time around. I do think that the revisions have improved the design, the site plan considerably. I think that I can support it as revised. I like that they, added some permeability to some of the paving, the side doors. I think that those sidewalks went away. And it seems like some of the steepness also went away. So I think the things that we most objected to have been cleaned up a bit. And the neighbors to the rear have a good reason to be skeptical, or at least, on guard that there's going to be, light and headlights kind of bothering them, but it seems to me that there is a very thorough landscaping plan that should completely shroud them and protect their interests. So on that basis, I'll support.
Claire, what do you think?
I'm going to follow up on what Ms. Sager said about the garage, that they are kind of big honking garages. And I wish we had a way almost to retain light management the way we sometimes retain stormwater management on properties. But nonetheless, I mean, it's a creative plan that is not disrupting the fabric of an established neighborhood, which is what really gets me with some of the D1 variances. I mean, as the planner noted, it's a busy street. There's been it's not, Springfield itself, except for 700, which didn't show up in any of your photos, is not a street of large, gracious homes into which a large single-family house would fit. And as we move further west on Springfield, you've got blocks of apartments. So introducing two-family homes is much more consistent in this R15 zone than in just about any other in the city that I'm aware of. And because the master plan does want to introduce more different kinds of housing, I think I can support this, even though every developer seems to get 4 units into one piece of property. And I find that really coincidental.
Hasn't always been the case with this board, so let's continue to deliberate. Scott, what do you think?
I guess my first comment would be about the light management. This is not a drive-in movie theater that we're approving, so I don't think there's going to be a constant stream of vehicles 24/7 up the driveway. Even when they do come up, it sounds like they've come up with a good plan to mitigate that. But to your point about R15 at a larger scale, I think this comes down to a contextual issue. As a board, how contextual do we want to be, right? If we want to be micro-contextual, yes, you can build a 6,900 square foot single-family home on this site, and this idea that, we're saving Summit from retaining walls and steep slopes. I mean, this entire town is retaining walls and steep slopes. So that's completely nonsensical to me in terms of an argument, and you can see it here in their drawing too. While the houses themselves are stepped, the garages are not. So which is it? Do you need to step this in order to mitigate that, or do you not? I think it's all irrelevant. I think we need to look at this in a bigger context, and Claire talked about that. We have a great diversity of building shapes, types, uses all along Springfield, apartment buildings, as you said, doctor's offices, mansions, single-family homes, two-family homes. So I think that's the proper context to view this site in. And with that, this fits in perfectly, in my opinion. So they've done a fantastic job of getting a lot of housing into a site without looking like it's a lot of housing on a site, and that's no easy feat. So with all that, I would be in favor of this application.
Okay, I'm in. Liz?
You said it all, that's. But I appreciate the landscaping plan and what they're doing to shield their neighbors from the light and the garage. So I do appreciate the revised plan, and I would definitely go with my fellow board members.
I'm in. Anything you'd like to add? Don't have to. Pass it back to Wally then. Wally, anything you'd like to say?
Sure, yeah. As always, we appreciate intelligent stormwater management, so I think you guys did a great job and kind of in the last minutes there integrated some better plans. I really like the fact that, I was going to suggest that we have in jurisdiction over the landscape plan, but then you went over it and it was phenomenal, and then I decided not to say anything. So I appreciate the stormwater and also the conscious canopy reproduction and the introduction of natural landscaping and the pollinator mixes as well. So I think you're going to have beautiful landscaping and pretty hummingbirds possibly, and all the nice things that you really want to have in a property and like a beautiful courtyard. So I think it's a great design in a good space, and I think it fits well. So I would approve this application.
Okay. I want to say no. I do. The fact that there's 4 residential units in a single residential unit lot drives me nuts, drives me crazy. But for all the reasons that we have discussed, and the planning testimony was excellent, and I agree the landscape architect was one of the best we've seen. The lot is particularly well suited in terms of its location. Its adjacency to the Board of Education property is, again, unique within the R15 zone, which minimizes any potential negative impact. The size it's oversized, and you've got to do something with that. You can split it up, you can build out to your heart's content. I don't think that the structure that are proposed for this particular, in this particular application abuses the lot size. It's pretty sensible. The topography conversation is very interesting. I never thought that topography could work in the benefit of an application, but here we are, right, learning new things every day. So certainly the lot is particularly well suited for this. Secondarily, it wasn't mentioned before, but the removal of the non-conforming commercial use is important. And definitely a significant positive criteria for this application. Not just is it providing a diversity of residential use, but it's removing, there's a bit of an oddball commercial use kind of tucked up there. I'm sure there's an interesting history. I don't care to hear it tonight at 10:30. But I would call that as a significant positive aspect of this application. So for those 2 primary reasons, really that the lot contextually offers a good opportunity for to accommodate these proposed structures and the non-conforming commercial use being removed, I can support the application. And as for the continued presentation of multifamily applications before this board in single-family zones, that's a policy issue we'll leave to the planning board and the governing body. And through avenues like the annual report, we'll continue to raise that because we're seeing them with increasing frequency. And there is unfortunately, no clear-cut set of rules for us to judge a given application better or worse than the others. It is truly ultimately contextual for what we see here. So with that, and the conditions as noted, I would ask for a motion to approve the application as has been presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Stephanie, the roll call, please.
Sure. Ms. Newell?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Malay?
Yes.
Mr. Loigutz?
Yes.
Ms. Toth?
Yes.
Ms. Sager?
Yes.
And Chairman Spur.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Weber.
board members.
Thank you, Sam. I think we only have 1 set of minutes to approve, and I just have 2 quick comments to make, but we can do the minutes first.
Sure. Okay, we have the minutes from May 1st, 2023. Can we have a motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, the motion carries.
Two quick notes, with Claire's gentle urging, our webmaster, Stephanie, has updated the zoning board's website to include now the status of the application and the hearing date, so that folks don't have to sort through agendas and calendars to figure that out. So kudos Claire, and kudos Stephanie for figuring out how to do the dang thing. And then the second item is I continue my foray with the governing body and the planning board to have our annual report see the light of day. They've been kind and respectful, but not exactly welcoming, actually, to the presentation of the zoning board at the governing body. I think the idea right now is we would likely have an audience first with the planning board, probably some subcommittees, a small group of members from zoning and planning come together to discuss, and then potentially go to the governing body. The way I presented just for the governing body is less to kind of hammer on the individual items we're arguing, but more so just to raise awareness that the annual report exists, that there's a mechanism for sharing these findings, and people like the governing body are where they should be resolving it. And cases like the one tonight is, larger policy matters really for them to resolve. So that's your update. I'll keep hammering on that until the next chair.
I can just tell you, 2 weeks ago at council, it was at the end of the council packet, which I think was like 831 pages or something like that, and it did get a mention at the meeting that it was there.
Our council liaison did mention it, yes. So that was progress, but we're better than that, and we're going to do better than that. So with that, we are adjourned until June 5th. Wow, see you in June.
Thank you.
Awesome.